Hello, friends. Welcome back to the bench. Now, if you're interested, how the interview went, uh, well, it's hard. It's hard to say. I don't think there is an option of failing that interview. I think either way, after that interview, you get your technical interview. It's more like uh, the the person just wants to kind of summarize your profile and just kind of learn about you, and at the same time give you some information about the position you're actually applying to, and that's pretty much how it went. I don't really have much. I mean, okay, if you want some details, one uh, advice that I could give to anyone when you're interviewing someone: don't ask multiple questions at the same time, because oftentimes the some of those questions will not be answered, which was the case over here. Um, what was it? I don't remember all three, but one of those questions that I never addressed was why did I pick this offer to apply? And the reason I don't want to address that question is because, come on, what year are we in? It's 2024. Why did I apply? Because you need a person and I need a job, right? that's pretty much it. So no, I don't even read the job descriptions. I just go to the requirements, like technology stack. If it's semi-aligned or more aligned with my capabilities, with my competency, then I apply. And then I really don't appreciate question that, what drawn you to our company, like what are you expecting me to say? I've been observing your company for the past 6 months, and I see that you went up and you made this and that, and finally I decided, yeah, I'm gonna apply. No, I need a job. I need a job. I really don't care what your company does until you're interested in hiring me. Then I'll scrutinize, what the company does, and at this point, today's the day 24th. Yeah. So after pretty much a month of applying and not having any offers or even interviews, obviously I'm not gonna be scrutinizing the companies, or cherry picking, or being picky, right? You have a position, you need a person, I need a job. It's pretty much it. But as I said, it's a good practice not to ask multiple questions, because I went off on the two other questions and I never addressed the third question, and actually she asked that question again, and I also kind of avoided talking about it. Not in a way that was obvious. Like, I don't think that would have been seen as an avoidance. It just, sometimes I'm pretty talkative, and I was actually a bit too talkative in this one. I felt like I kind of dominated the conversation, and you might say that it's a good thing. No, not really. I mean, maybe it's not the worst thing, okay, but it's not a good thing either. I wouldn't advise that. I don't know. But bottom line, I have another interview today, technical interview, which is, well, from what I know, we're only going to be doing PHP, so that's good because they also need a Node.js, and Node.js is not necessarily my domain, which means I had to basically just kind of update my knowledge. And by update my knowledge, I've worked with Node.js a few years, it's sometimes kind of hard to quantify if they ask you like how many years of experience in this technology or that technology. Over the span of 25 years, it's kind of hard to quantify it in years. So it's usually just kind of like a guesstimate from my side. I mean, I remember I started PHP in like 2011, 2012, so that gives me about 12 years. So that's easy, but it's not like I've been working in PHP from 2012 to today. Obviously, I worked in different technologies, so it's not 12 years of consistent PHP work. In some cases I did electronics and stuff, and again with electronics, I technically started when I was, I don't know, 9, 10, but not throughout my career working always on electronics. I had few years of electronics, few years of coding, and just kind of, doing one then the other, then the first again. So it's hard for me to quantify it. But I quantified it in, I don't remember, 4 or 5 years, which is semi-accurate. So now I had to just kind of refresh my knowledge, and not even of Node.js, but interview questions. What typically is being asked in the interviews. That's the easiest way to pass the interview. But hopefully there's not going to be any coding in Node.js, because I'm not going to be proficient in that. It's been 5 years since I did anything in Node.js. Kind of tough. But we'll see. I had an option of doing the technical interview yesterday, but at 4:30. Guys are Europeans, so they work nights. But I'm an early bird. 5, 6, 7 o'clock. That's like the late. Well, not 6 is pretty much the latest I get up, and sometimes a lot earlier. I like to be in bed by 9, definitely. Sometimes earlier than that, because I like to work in the morning, and I like seeing sunrise, and I like mornings. Some people prefer nights, and they just sleep through the morning, and when they get up, it's already midday. I'm the opposite. I like to see the morning. So at 4:30, my brain is relatively tired. So I don't want to do interviews at 4:30 in the afternoon. So I picked today at 2:30, which is also a little bit late for me. I would prefer that to be in the morning. Like that AI test I took it at, I don't know, 7, 8 a.m. Something like that. And that's usually my productive hours, right? So that's what I would prefer. But you don't always get that option, and in this case I didn't. So you have to work with what you get. So I'm not too worried, since they said it's gonna be PHP. I have enough, knowledge and experience in PHP that I can even whiteboard. I can whiteboard algorithms, no problems. I don't have any, because especially when you are used to working with IDEs that just kind of work with you, meaning they're gonna fill in the blanks, they're gonna give you templates, they're gonna autocorrect stuff that you're writing, plus the autocomplete and the list of available options and stuff like that. That is that boosts your productivity. But then if at any point you have to write it down, you have to write down some code without this tools, that becomes pretty challenging. That's normal. If you're in this position, don't feel bad. It's absolutely normal. That's why we have those productivity tools. But that could be a problem during the interview if you are expected to actually write the working code on basically on whiteboard or like some Colab notepad, something like that. So there's not going to be autocorrect. There's not going to be a lot of tools that I'm personally used to. But my point is that I don't need it. I should be able to ace that interview. That is my expectation. But in addition to that, the company is, the hiring company, right? So I'm not interviewing for the position in this company. They are looking for someone for their client. And on top of that, they also provide HR. So technically, I would be working for them, at least probably I'm thinking like 3 months or something like that. I would be working for them, being under their HR, and contracting for the target customer, right? And I'm expecting that after a few months, maybe 3, who knows, I will switch over the employer from this company to the target company. From what they said, they're looking for someone long term, which is perfect for me because I would also like something long term. As as I'm getting old, so that would be up my alley. And the other good thing about this company is that even if they don't hire me, or that client doesn't want me for one reason or another, because I also don't know what the competition is, but this is a remote job, so the competition is most likely huge. So I'm not holding my breath for this particular offer, although I would love to get it, but I don't hold my breath. But the other good thing is that they find engineers for other companies as well, and once I'm on their books and I'm vetted and I pass all the interviews and everything, then they first go through the pool of those candidates that they already worked with and already have vetted before they post the job on Indeed or what have you. So that's a good news as well, because that's gonna potentially give me a more opportunities in the future if I don't get this job. So that's a little bit of optimism there. And actually, I got 2 inquiries. Two recruiters reached out to me on LinkedIn with an invitation to apply. Basically, quite generic emails, like I saw your profile and it seems to be aligned with what we need, and are you interested, that kind of stuff. This is something that I used to get a lot just a few years ago. So is the market picking up? Perhaps it's definitely a good sign. Definitely a good sign. I get so many cracks here. Not good. Well, that's fine. So we'll see. I sent them my resume, both inquiries. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. But I don't know if it's the market that's picking up, or it just takes time for your profile to just kind of start being noticed on LinkedIn. Maybe that is part of it as well. It just, it needs to simmer for for a month or a few weeks before it start getting noticed. Could be. Personally, I'm hoping that the market is picking up a bit. It looks like the presidential race is getting more interesting with the VP pick by Kamala Harris. So maybe that will stabilize a little bit. Maybe that has some impact on it. Because usually it is people, well, it's always people that make decisions, right? And people make decisions based on how they feel about the reality, right? If now the feelings are more optimistic, then maybe they're saying, okay, let's go with this project, right? Let's hire someone or something like that. I'm just speculating, obviously. I don't know that for a fact, but I do know for a fact that it's people that make those decisions. So now people are finally starting to reach out to me. That is great news. I'm kind of happy, obviously. Now, this company seems to be moving pretty quickly, and from what I know about the actual company is that they hired an engineer for this role a few months back, and he dropped the position. He moved over somewhere else, which is kind of typical. Usually how it works is you get an offer and you just jump on it because you need to work. Nothing more to it. But then, you had some other processes started, and maybe you were whitelisted or waitlisted in the other company that you really want to work for, and maybe a lot more money or better perks or better health insurance, whatever. And so you started working for this company, and 2 months later they reach out from the company you really want to work for, and they now have vacant spot, so you can join if you want. So what are you gonna do? Well, you're obviously gonna do what, because you might say that it's not how do you put it? But it's not desired behavior that you accept the offer and then just don't follow through. And be that as it may, be aware that the companies work the same way. The company needs to make a profit and needs to stay afloat, and if for any reason your services are no longer needed, then they're going to drop you like dead weight, right? That's what happened to me. And I worked for the company for 3 years. I got a lot of great feedback on the work I was doing. I was working a lot of extra hours. And, I was giving my 100% to that company, but it didn't matter. At one day, they decided we don't need Raf anymore. And the same way, if you have the better offer than the offer you have in hand, and even the offer that you accepted, and you get a better offer, well, that's kind of an obligation to yourself to take the best one, right? To just drop this company and go to the other company. There might be hard feelings, but there's plenty of hard feelings when you get laid off, right? In my view, that should be an understanding on both sides that that's how it works. For the same reason, I'm not angry or upset with my previous company for laying me off. But for the same reason, I wouldn't expect the company to be angry or disappointed or retaliate when I when I quit the company because I found a better offer, I found a better work, or maybe I'm just, no, I don't want to be in the software engineer anymore, and that's it, right? Maybe I started my own business, and I'm going full time with my own business, right? Maybe I wrote an application that took off, and now I want to invest in that application, and it doesn't always have to be. My point is that it doesn't always have to be that I'm quitting this company to go to that company, right? It's not always that kind of choice. Sometimes it just just happens, and especially a couple months ago, I don't know how long. I think it was like 3 months that the lady told me that the guy worked for them for like 3 months or something like that. So 3 months ago, definitely the market was even worse than it is right now. So obviously, if the guy had an offer from them, obviously he took it, right? But if the market was the way it was, and the way it kind of is still, then that offer is very valuable. You don't turn down offers, or at least I wouldn't. I wouldn't turn down the offer. If I get an offer from them, I'll take it, even if even if that means because actually the pay brackets were actually even higher than I wanted. I think their budget is goes up to 150. I don't need that much. I'm not gonna ask for that much. Um, and it's got nothing to do with the finances. It's also when you set your minimum desired salary, you're making a commitment yourself. So if you're expecting $170,000 a year, that is a commitment from your side that this is going to be your only job, your only occupation, and you're going to give it all, right? Because they give you a proper salary that doesn't require you to have any side hustles or anything like that. But remember that putting all your eggs in one basket, putting all your eggs in one basket is never a safe bet, right? It can work for you. It's there. I'm sure there's plenty of people that can attest to the fact that they work for the same company for 30 years. They don't have any side hustles or anything else going on, just at one company, and it works for them. I'm sure there are plenty of people like that. But doesn't mean it's safe bet. It's actually relatively risky bet, if you ask me. You always should have something else going on, just so when you get laid off, you're not just you're not overwhelmed to the point of desperation. There should at least be something that you do on top of that. That would be my advice. Not to say that you shouldn't take jobs like the jobs that require you to put in 100% just into that job. Definitely, but when you do make such a decision, make sure that you are actually covered, like you have some agreement with the company that I'm gonna put all my eggs in your basket, but you can't fire me for the next 2 years, or lay me off or something like that. Or if you do lay me off, you give me 2-month notice or something like that, right? Or the severance, you agree on the severance that it's gonna be 2-month salary if you get laid off, something like that, just to give yourself a little bit of security. I mean, 2 months of severance. It's probably depending on what position you were holding, but 2 months severance is probably not a safety net. It's still gonna be hard. It's still gonna be tricky. But at least you get something for that commitment to the company. So for that reason, I don't want to commit on that level, right? I want to be fair to the company, obviously, but yeah, for that reason, I'm not looking for 170 or $250,000 a year, because that would mean that they pretty much own me. I prefer, at this point in my career, I prefer a mediocre position, Yeah, senior engineer, sure, but not, not an engineering director or director of engineering, not a, CTO, anything like that. Right, because that, I don't know, not that I ever interviewed for a position like that, or even had anyone having interest in me for a position like that. I don't know if I would actually be good at that or be worth the money, Probably not, but we don't know, and we're not about to find out. But I would not, yeah, I would just not be interested in such position. Maybe within the company, because usually those positions are found within the company. Those employees are found within the company. That's usually how it works. It's very rare that you find a listing, that we're looking for director of engineering or CTO. They obviously they happen, yeah. I've worked with one CTO that was hired like that. The interview process was very long, took months, and perhaps that engineer that I would be potentially replacing, perhaps was in that process, few month interview process, and finally got the offer. That's why he left this company, right? Could be. Which is good news for me, because now there's a vacant spot, right? I'm not gonna complain about that. No, sir. So what's next? After this interview, if I pass, they should get the lady that's handling me should get the feedback from the engineer that will be interviewing me by tomorrow, which means next step would be another technical interview, but this time not with the hiring company but the target company. Then another interview with that company, as far as just kind of assessing whether I would be a good fit for for the existing team. I already talked about that in one of one of my videos, basically how that works and the obligation and all that jumping through hoops and all that stuff. And if all that goes well, there's going to be one last interview with the management of the company. So basically, bottom line, I get 4 or 5 more interviews. Which kind of seems like a lot, but in this profession, it's relatively normal. One time I had a discussion with a friend of mine that it wasn't really well, it was exchange of opinions, because comparing my profession to a server, a bartender, especially let's compare bartender. You have two kinds of bartenders: competent, trained, talented bartenders, mixologists, and just people who are over 21. That's pretty much the only requirement for the job. And I've met both. Actually, my friend is a mixologist, so he's an actual professional bartender. He's good at what he does. He can do. He gets a lot of feedback from the customers that that no other bartender can make those drinks taste so good as he does it. So naturally. He believes that it's not easy to get such a job, or not easy to get to that level, right? And it probably isn't. I wouldn't know. I've never worked in that profession. But this is, yeah, I'm guessing you would need maybe a year, maybe a couple of years of actual experience to kind of become proficient in that. I don't know. Probably depends on your how talented you are for that particular position. But unfortunately, the bottom line is that most bartending jobs, the requirement is pretty much you're over 21, maybe a background check, and that's pretty much it, and you get the job, right? In some cases, I'm sure they ask you to make some drinks, and there are some certifications that you can acquire for bartending, profession. But bottom line, we get one interview, or not even an interview, and and go pour some drinks. In my profession, this is what it looks like. You have to prove yourself beforehand, and you have to go through lengthy, rigorous process to even be considered for the position. And the reason I'm talking about it is because the argument from my friend was like, well, if I want to get a job in software engineer, why can I not get a job so why couldn't I, right? And I don't remember what my answer was, but it wasn't proficient. So let's give it another stab. Well, you have to have a resume, right? And you have to have a work history in that profession. And unfortunately, this is catch-22. You're not going to get a job in this profession without experience, right? So how do we gain experience without having a job? Well, you got to figure that out. So provided you figured that out, then you have some experience. Then having that resume, then, well, you need to be competitive. Right now, I would not recommend to anyone trying to find a job in software engineering. No, it's probably bartending is much better option. So your resume needs to be competitive. Then you go through interview number 1, interview number 2, number 3, number 4. That's at least. I don't think I've ever worked for a company that had less than 4 interviews. Maybe 3, yeah. In some cases I got lucky because I was working with some people, and I was doing either the audit, consulting, or or some kind of gig, and they just, so they know me, they know what I can do. So without any interviews or anything, they just give me the offer. You want to join us? Come work for us. But that contract, that initial work that I did for them, that was considered an interview, right? So that's pretty rigorous interview as well. But that is basically my point. That's why I would prefer to be a bartender, and even a crappy bartender, because the opinion I've heard from one bartender that has pretty much, well, he's not even a bartender, he's a guy behind the bar, right? And he gets an hourly wage plus tips. That's pretty much it, Nothing wrong with that, obviously. But he told me that, because I was curious, like, how hard is it? How hard was it for you to learn all the drinks and stuff? And he said that the majority of drinks, the name pretty much explains what it is. Gin and tonic, Crown and Coke, that kind of stuff. So that's the majority of the drinks you do. The specialty drinks, that is where my friend shines, because he can do specialty drinks. And not only, if you're a connoisseur of drinks, you will immediately recognize a talented mixologist, talented bartender, by the drink you receive. And I'm a beer guy, right? I'm a simple beer man. So normally I don't drink mixed drinks. But since I had a friend behind the bar, so he introduced me to few drinks, and my favorite one would be a pomegranate martini, and he makes it awesome. And I did order that same drink in few other bars throughout the years, and not a single one tasted like he made it. And I don't even know, even though I can see him making them, right? I don't know what he does that they taste so good. It's probably the combination of procedure and ingredients, I would think, because he does. I remember he used to go to work, like about 2 hours before the bar even opened, to get all the stuff together, like fresh juices and stuff like that. So that is pretty much my conclusion, that it's not always about what you can do, and you can think of yourself as a great engineer, and still not get a job. I don't know if that was supposed to be my point, but I was just kind of thinking about that lately. So here we are. So now what I need to do is just ace this interview. I'm gonna use, because I've been, the previous interview I did on that computer, but that gives you not too glamorous look on this side of my shop, which holds all the boxes, all the stuff for repair stuff, it looks messy. This time I'm gonna use this computer, and especially since I had to remove 16 gigs of RAM from my computer because it wouldn't start. Once I removed these, it started, but now I have 4 gigs of RAM. Not too great. So I'm gonna use this computer, and that also gives me a little better background, right? Maybe it'll be some conversation starter. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta think outside the box. You know, psychology always helps in the process of finding a job. That's for sure. You interview differently when you interview with business people, differently when you interview with technical people. Business people will care about different things. I remember one time they flew me over to California from Atlanta for an interview. First interview was online, the coding session, and I got not like awesome feedback. I think the words they used was that guy has a potential, with meaning is not good enough yet, but has a potential, right? So with that, they flew me over. The interview went horribly wrong, and just as someone says, I can't remember the name right now, but there are no bad interviews, you're just not good for the job. And yes, I was definitely not good for that job. I don't know why I even tried, you know. And also a lot of stuff went wrong that didn't have to go wrong, but it did go wrong. Meaning, you know, on the technical questions from the guy that was one of the persons assessing my technical abilities, I couldn't understand a damn word he was saying. Very thick Indian accent. And nowadays I'm a little more used to that, but then I was fresh off the boat from, you know, I immigrated from Poland, so I was pretty much fresh off the boat. I was not used to Indian accent. Now I am, because I watched a lot of scam baiting and that kind of stuff. So I'm a lot more used to Indian accents and accents in general, right? I've been here for years now. How many years? I don't know, 5, 6 maybe. So I'm a lot more proficient in understanding weird accents. I'm also, because my accent also is or used to be hard to understand. You would have to spend some time with me to just kind of get used to my accent, right? To understand me. That is where YouTube came in to my life, or I introduced YouTube to my life, and having the videos of yourself talking and being able to listen to that, that is the best feedback you can get, because even if people tell you that they don't understand you, that doesn't really give you much. What works the best is when you can listen to yourself, and then no one is going to be more demanding, and no one's going to scrutinize you more than yourself. You're going to be very harsh. You're going to be your own harshest critic always, because people won't give you some feedback, because either it's not very constructive or it's just hurtful, or you know, people don't like giving negative feedback. So the only way to get that negative feedback is to give it to yourself. So having the ability to listen to yourself talk gives you a lot to work with, and gives you the best results. So since then, I've grown a lot, right? And I've learned a lot since then, and I gained a lot of competencies, and a lot of knowledge throughout those years. So now I know how I would interview with them, and it would go completely different. Back then I was just not ready. It wasn't a good fit for me. So it's not like the interview went well, it didn't go well, or interview went bad. No, I was not the person for the job, for sure. And after just 20 minutes, I just wanted to get out of there, you know, and I couldn't because it was, pretty much all day interviews, all kinds of them. And the worst part, they those higher managers, and they figured, okay, let's have a lunch together, right? So it's a little bit more informal. Fine, but there were two of them and one of me. So one of them was eating, the other one was talking. Then the other one was eating, and the first one was talking. I, on the other hand, always had to talk, so I couldn't even touch my salad. That's, that's not the best approach to this. I wouldn't recommend something like that, especially saying that, well, we're gonna do a little more informal. But what do you mean by more informal? I'm interviewing. I don't care if you call it informal, because you're stuffing your face while your friend is grilling me, and then he's stuffing his face while you're grilling me. Yeah, well, as I said, since then I have learned a lot, and now I could at least try interviewing for that position. And that was what was the position? That was like a little higher management position, right? Some like team leader, something like that. So, it wasn't a simple engineering interview. So obviously I was kind of aiming a bit too high. Now I would maybe do a little better on the interview, but now I don't think I would even aim for that job. I don't think I would want that job. Back then, I was maybe, I don't want to say more ambitious, because it wasn't really ambition. It was more like I was dumber. I didn't know what that would entail. Now I do. Now I'm just more mature, so I don't aim that high anymore, because I know my limitations. Back then, I didn't. But the only way to know your limitations is to actually try. So yeah, I worked as a manager for a few companies a few times, and I know I didn't do a good job. Now I know that, but back then I thought, no, I'm doing great, everything's awesome. No, it was not. It was not, and I just didn't know that. All right, almost done. Well, almost done with the top. I didn't hurt any antennas, or did I? Is that a... I think we are good. I think we might be fine. I'm not sure though. But even if we did, I have a replacement. So I gotta look at it under the scope, because I think I may have damaged the antenna. Could be. But I do have a replacement. Alrighty guys, I think we're gonna finish this here. I will just start getting mentally ready and get my setup ready, get my better keyboard over here so I can proficiently write my code for the interview. And same deal, wish me luck, because imagine how much pressure nowadays we go through. Back in the day, meaning 3 years ago, I would get few of these coding interviews a week. So none of them was really stressful to me, or I wasn't stressing about them, because I would just get so many of them. So I knew if I don't do well on this one, well, I have another one tomorrow and three after that. Nowadays, since this is pretty much my only interview process that I'm involved in after 24 days, it's a lot of pressure. you know so the important thing that I want to focus on and is not to let the pressure get into me, because I don't do well under pressure when I just psych myself out, and just start losing my train of thought, and horrible. Horrible when that happens. So I don't want to do this to myself, like sabotage myself. But at the same time, you must understand how much pressure that is. It's not like the interviews 3 years ago, when I would get a lot of them. Now, if I blow this one, then I might not have another one for another month or 2 months or whatever, right? So I need to ace this one. Even if I don't get the job from the customer, I at least want to ace all the interviews and just stay on the list, and maybe that'll give me something. So a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. So yeah, I could use some luck. So wish me luck. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you tomorrow.